if it is a company that, let's say, buys land, maybe single family homes, but in different parts of the country, or maybe they have a chain of laundromats and they want to buy a small little single engine plane and they want to fly around there. Would you say that holding company would own that single engine plane and then lease it back to the owner? And then it would basically be the plane to be protected. And then is that kind of like the gist of it?
So kind of. So a plane's a special asset in that a plane is a very risky asset, the same way that a car is a risky asset. And so for a risky asset like that, we want to have its own shell around it, its own LLC that owns it.
Right.
That LLC, depending on how much value there is in that LLC, if it's a plane worth $1 million, we want to protect that asset as well. We'll have that LLC then owned by the trust as well, but have it segregated from the other liability.
Okay. Is there tax benefits to an offshore asset protection trust?
An offshore asset protection trust is a tax-neutral vehicle. It does not increase your taxes. It does not decrease your taxes. You are required to report to the IRS when you have an offshore trust. In no way does this increase your chance of an audit. And what I give my clients is a detailed tax memorandum which explains all the reporting requirements so that they can hand that to their CPA. And then when they share that with their CPA, the CPA will have guidance on how to report the offshore structure to the IRS. Also, we have a large network of CPAs we work with that we can refer clients to complete the offshore reporting requirements, but it's not a tool for reducing taxes, evading taxes.
Do you have a lot of clients that come to you with, ideas in which a asset protection trust may help them tax-wise?
Of course, all the time.
What are some of the common misconceptions?
So one thing that I get asked about very often is a Cayman Islands trust. And I mentioned the 3 jurisdictions, Cook Islands, Nevis, and Belize, as the best asset protection jurisdictions. The Cayman Islands is not a country that has a codified asset protection trust law. I don't recommend using it. You hear about corporations that can use offshore trusts for avoiding taxes. If you're a non-U.S. person, there may be opportunities to use offshore structures for avoiding taxes. But in terms of U.S. persons, there's not an offshore trust that's going to allow you to avoid paying taxes. Non-U.S. people, there are different rules, but 95% of my clients are U.S. citizens. Reason why? 90% of the lawsuits in the world are filed in the United States.
Got it. What other misconceptions are you hearing from people that are thinking about establishing an offshore trust in which you have to kind of educate them? And because I'm sure there's probably quite a few people listening right now that are thinking of, the uncertain world that we're living in and how they can protect themselves. And maybe you can answer some questions in their head before they even get there.
Certainly. So biggest one is, as I mentioned, you don't need to be super wealthy. You need to have assets worth protecting. So at least $1 million is where it becomes worthwhile for most clients. Next, as we mentioned, it's not a tool for avoiding or evading taxes. Other misconceptions is that a domestic trust will do the trick. A domestic trust, as I mentioned, easy to set up, but you lose a lot of bargaining power when you use a domestic-only trust. Other misconceptions is the client can continue to serve as trustee. No, you have to hire a professional trust company out of the Cook Islands. And these trust companies are very reputable companies. I've been to the Cook Islands. I've met with these trust companies myself. They are better regulated and supervised than U.S.-based trust companies. Another misconception is that you lose control over the assets. No, the trustee, they will do anything we tell them to do. If we want money out of the trust, they're going to send us money. If we want them to invest the money in a certain way, they will invest the money in a certain way. Why are they going to do everything that I request that they do? Because they want me to continue to send them business. Not to mention, I have the ability to remove every client I've ever sent these trust companies. These trust companies and we work together very, very closely. The only time that a trust company is not going to honor a request is if a client has been ordered by a court to make a request. If you're acting under duress, the trust companies say, no, you've been forced to make this request. But provided the client's acting by their own free will, they are still going to have access and ultimate control over their assets the same way they would if the money was in their own pocket.
If you've enjoyed this clip and you'd like to watch the full episode, you can do so on my main YouTube channel by clicking the video here.